Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. So this is part 3 on NestJS, ReactJS using MongoDB, a CRUD example. Now our main aim to implement the read operation. Okay. So first in our NestJS to fetch the data from the database. Okay. So for that, let's create a method. That method fetches all the data from the MongoDB. Okay. So I will name it like get all, okay, and it will be a async method. I'm expecting async method, okay, and we know this model helps us to communicate with the database, okay. So here what I can do, return and await this dot employee model dot, okay, find, okay. Find without any input parameters will fetches the all the data from my MongoDB collection. Okay, and I can call execute. It executes that method. Okay, so this is very simple. It's going to fetches the all the data from my MongoDB collection, that is employee. Okay, now I have to define a HTTP action method in my controller. So let's create a new controller. Okay, in our employee module. So open the terminal and we have a nest CLI command for generating controller, like nest space generate space controller. Okay, and I want to create a controller inside of the employee folder and I want to name my controller as a employee. So I can simply give like this, and I don't want any text file, so I can specify flag like no spec. Okay, and here you can see employee.controller.ts file is created. Okay, let's go to the employee controller. Okay, so this is the employee controller, and here you can see the endpoint. So localhost, our application runs under 4000, right? Slash employee means it will hit this controller. Okay, so I want to get all the data, right? So I want to write a get method so that that get method only execute for the HTTP get request. Okay, I will write a method like here also async. I will name it like get all. Okay, and to make this method as the HTTP get method, we have to register this method with the decorator at the rate get. Okay, and that must be loads from the nestjs/common. Okay, and if you want to specify employee slash something in the URL, here you can specify all like that. But by default, if you don't specify also not a problem. It is automatically understand this is the HTTP get method. But if you have more than one get method at that time, you should specify the path here in the get attribute. Okay, so here I no need the path, so I will leave it empty, and I want to consume my employee service here. So inject the service into the constructor. Okay, so private employee of type or employee service. Okay, and in our employee service we have a method, right? So return await this dot employee. I will name it like employee service. Okay, so this dot employee service dot get all. So that's it. Our get method is ready. Okay, let's rerun our application. Getting some issue. Sorry, I have created wrong controller. See, it was created outside of my employee folder. So what I will do, I will create again. Okay, sorry for that. So it should be employee OYE. Okay. So now I have got employee controller in my employee module folder. Okay, now what I will do, I will simply replace the content what we have added wrongly here, right? So copy this and add it here, and also namespaces, import the namespaces. Okay, and now I will delete this. Okay, I will delete this wrong file along with its folder. Okay, delete it, and some references automatically might be added into app module folder. So let's remove them. So remove this reference and remove this controller as well. Okay, now rerun the application. Sorry for that. Okay, I have created wrong controller. Now rerun the application again. Okay, what I did means I created the controller inside of my employee module. Previously, because of one character missing, it created a new folder outside of this employee folder, and that is added to the my app module level. So I have rectified it. Okay, here you can see application is successfully running. If I access this slash employee endpoint, I must get the sample data which is available in my MongoDB employee collection. I know my port number 4000, right? I have specified explicitly, and employee. See, I'm getting data from my server, my MongoDB server. So for the read operation, NestJS application changes are done because we have completed the HTTP GET request. Now we have to consume this endpoint in our NestJS application. Okay, so sorry, in our ReactJS application. So go to ReactJS application, and now I want to display the this data in a table. Okay, so I this is like my home page, means I want to I have to create a new component like pages component. So for that, let me add a folder like pages inside of the src. Okay, and let me create a component. Okay, so that is like all employees I will name. Okay, so this is my component file. So this file I want to invoke the API call. So once a API response received, I want to bind it to the bootstrap table to display it. Okay, so first let's create a function, our component function. Okay, constant all employee. Okay, you know, arrow notation employees. And for now, let's return imaginary tags. I am all employees component. Okay, some text, sample text. Okay, export default all employees. Okay, so this is my component. So first let's register the route for it. Okay, now I want to create a route. Okay, and that route will be my home page. For that home route, I want to load this all employees. So first we need to install the React Router DOM into our React.js application. So such like React-router-DOM. So this is the npm link. Click on it. Okay. So it is a React router library. So copy the command. Okay, this command, and open the terminal in our React application. Okay, and paste the command and install the library. React router DOM library installed successfully. So after that, we need to do one configuration in the index.js. So that is, we have to add the browser router element that loads from the React router package. So that should be encapsulate our app component. So this will inject our all routing features into our React application. Okay. Now I want to configure a route for this. So we know in app component we rendered the layout. So here I want to load my component based on the route so that the child content gets automatically rendered inside of this container, right? So here I can configure the route like I can use routes, okay, which loads from the React router DOM. In that we can specify individual route, okay, child route tags, okay. So here I can specify my URL path with the attribute like path. So I want my all employees component load for home page, right? So I can simply specify slash, that means home path. And I have to map the component for this route. This component should be load. So for that we have another attribute like element. So to this element we have to map our component. So what is our component? All employees. Okay. So that's it. If I run and if I land, I have to see this message. Okay. See, it is loaded. I am all employees component. That means routing is successful. Okay. Now let's install one library that is Axios, which help to invoke the API calls. Okay. So search like npm Axios and click on the npm link. And here you can see the command for installation npm-axios, copy it, okay, and go to our React application, okay. Please keep in mind now whatever doing, all the things I am doing in the React application only, okay, and paste the command and install it. Now the Axios also installed successfully. So now what I can do, I can call Axios, okay, for invoking the API call, okay. So let's import the Axios namespace instead of my Axios. So this Axios will give uses default methods based on the HTTP request type. Since our get method, right? So it is giving get. Okay. And here is the URL, right? For get. So copy this URL and paste it here. On success. So on success, I want to read the response dot. Okay. And I want to store the data. Response data I have to store in some variable. That variable I have to loop it in my JSX, right? So I will create a variable like, so what we will think, we can create a variable like something like all employees, right? And initially empty, and whatever data will come, we want to assign it to this variable. Like this we will think, okay? So response data. But what happens means, for this normal kind of variables, component won't refresh, means initially empty. With that empty data, some HTML gets rendered. Whenever API call completes and this variable changes, the data won't be reflected because the component won't re-render. So we cannot use normal variables. We have to use the use state variables. So use state variables, if the value is changed, then the component gets refreshed. Okay, so we have to use React hook like use state. Okay, use state. Okay, and here you can specify initial value. For my case, I am expecting empty array as the initial value. And this use state will give two variables, array of two variables. One is normal variable to store this data. Another one is to update the data function. Okay, so we can write like constant array. So all employees. This is my variable. So to this variable, whatever the data is there will be assigned. Okay. And another variable that is like set all employees, which is a function. Okay. This function is used to update this value because we cannot directly update the value into this variable. So we have to use the function. So that is how useState works. So whenever the data of the variable of the useState changes by the set all employees, that means variable change, right? Again the components get refreshed. So that data whatever inside of this all employees gets rendered on the HTML. But here one more drawback. We are written Axios call directly inside of the component, right? So on every change, again API call will get invoked. Again API call get invoked. It's like an infinite loop. So we cannot write Axios call directly inside of the employees. So what we can do, we can use another React hook, that is use effect. Okay. So this contains two parameters, like one is arrow function and another thing is a array of variable. Okay. So what we can do, we can move this logic into this arrow function inside of the use effect. So use effect also one React hook. Namespace not imported. So import the namespace. Okay. The second parameter is the main thing. If it is empty, then this use effect is executes only once. So if at all we want to execute this logic inside of this use effects every time whenever something changes, like our state variable, a value changes, we want to invoke, then you have to specify the variable like all employees. So whenever this data gets updated, again this use effect gets executed. So in my case, I want to execute this API call only once, right? So I will leave this array, array empty. Okay, array empty means only once. If you don't specify, then this use effect always executes. Okay, then there is no use of using this use effect hook. So use empty array. Okay, so that is our logic. So I am invoking my API call and I am storing it to my all employees variable also. Now I have to render the data, right? So let's write. So first remove this example text and let me add a bootstrap container. Okay, and some class empty. Okay. Now let me add the React Bootstrap table. So for that, go to React Bootstrap website. So in the components, you can search for table. So here is the table, and there are a lot of example with their usage. So what I will do, I will copy this first example. Okay. So add it here. And I have to import the table namespace. So whatever namespace is here, copy and add it in our sample as well. Okay. So here one more change, inside of the Axios, I cannot assign directly to all employees state variable. So I can use set all employees method, and to that employees method I can pass response.data. Okay. So this set employees I am calling, right? It will update this value into this variable. Okay. So now let's come back to our table. So here let me remove this th. So first will be name, second will be role, something like job role. Okay, experience. Okay, and here TRs are dummy TRs, right? Let's remove additional one. I need one thing is enough because I am going to loop them based on my API response. Okay, now here I have all API employees, right? It will be array of data. Currently, I have only one record, right? In the array of response, I have only one record, right? That only one record I will display now. So, but I have to loop it. So to loop it, what we can do? So it is a dynamic expression, right? We have to open the curly braces. And what is my variable? All employees. So this is the variable which is an array type. So what I can do, I can use dot map. So dot map, what it will do, it will iterate the each item inside of the array. So what I will do, I will use the arrow function like emp, okay, and open circular basis and cut everything and paste it inside of it. Okay, first thing, here should contain a key property. Okay, and that will be a unique, so I can pass my employee ID, emp dot underscore id. Okay, and this is additional TD I can remove. And here I want to display my name. So open braces, emp dot. I am looping the iterating each item. So every map loops, this tier gets rendered. If I have 3 employee records, 3 tiers get recorded. 3 tier will render. If I have 2 tier will be rendered here. Okay, it map function will loop them and render them. Okay, so I want to render name. So second is role emp dot role. If you have any doubt, you can copy the property names from here. Okay, and finally I want the experience emp dot experience. Okay, so that's it. That is my change. What I am doing, I am storing my API response into the use state variable, and I am calling the API in the use effect, and also I am looping my API response data using the map function and rendering the each tier. So if I save and if I navigate, I should see my response get rendered on the Bootstrap table. So let's go to our React website. So this is our React website. If you see here, we can see the table headers, but data is not rendered. So let's inspect elements, and there are some errors. If I go to console log, you can see there is a cross origin issue. Why? Because our API is 4000 localhost, and our client application, React application, is running under 3000. In real time, these will be two different domains. At that time, what happens means cross origin means different origins are trying to communicate. Then server will reject the request from our client application because you are not trusted client to me. So server will reject the request. So now to resolve this issue, server should accept our request. We should enable the CORS. So go to React NestJS application, server application, okay, and go to main.ts file. Here I will enable the CORS. Okay, so this is enabling CORS. Now any client can consume my NestJS application. So what you will do, once stop the ReactJS server, okay, and restart it again. So NestJS is successfully running. Now if I refresh my ReactJS application, I must able to consume my NestJS application API. So refresh and see my data is rendered now to the table. If I check network calls in the developer tools, see our employee API call, and it is a get, and 200 OK means status success. In the response, you can see the preview. This is the data coming from my NestJS server. So that's all about the read operation in NestJS and ReactJS using MongoDB application. Okay. Next, we are going to understand the create operation. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this video delivered some useful content to you all. If you like my video, please do support me by liking the video and also by subscribing to my channel. Soon we are going to meet with new content. Until then, signing off.